This week in the news, Discord shitting on the bed, Ubisoft employees on a strike, Relooted has a great launch weekend, Blizzard uglifies normal looking characters, and more on this week's Old Man Rages at the News. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. We're starting off strong this week. The Minecraft game Allumeria got kicked off Steam after Microsoft issued a DMCA takedown. That's gotta sting for the developer and Microsoft's reputation. The developer received an email from Valve notifying them of the takedown, which stated, Judith Woodward, on behalf of Microsoft Corporation, alleges that Microsoft is the copyright owner of the content found at www.minecraft.net, and that your use of Minecraft content, including but not limited to gameplay and assets, without their authorization infringes their rights, and used this picture to claim the game copied Minecraft. Oh boy. Hold on to your butts, folks. This is getting weird. Or aggravating, whatever you prefer. Now, the user BoykaPiglet2 said that Judith Woodward is associated with Tracer AI, which is an AI that automatically files DMCA on behalf of a company. He does speculate that the AI saw the screenshot, which on the surface does appear very Minecraft-like, and went ahead with the DMCA. Now, thankfully, Microsoft woke up and chose to be smart and retracted the DMCA claim from Allumeria, allowing the Steam page and game to be fully restored without the need for a counterclaim. My question of all this is, why are people allowing AI to dictate important decisions, especially of a legal matter? And now for something expected. Wildlight Entertainment, the creators of FlopGuard, Concord 2, or as they would prefer to call it, Highguard, got some of its staff laid off. Not surprising since the game failed to retain the player base it got at launch. Anyways, there were some former employees that posted on LinkedIn that they got fired with the classic lines like, "This one really stings," and "It was the best team I've ever worked with." You know, that toxic positivity, buttering up language. But let's not kid ourselves. They're most likely buttering up their holes so it doesn't sting as much when they get fired next time. Anyways, they did post it on X as well, and people started making fun of them with tweets like this. And also, another dude reminding the employees that they claim they don't need super huge player counts. And they apparently don't need a lot of employees. Now, let's play a game. On the 26th of January, they announced the roadmap for Highguard's first year. How much do y'all think they will fulfill? Let's be real. So far, they've what? Has the Concord challenge? Or is it failed the Concord challenge? Depends on how you look at it. But regardless, my bet is they will only last until the end of February. Because this roadmap is basically copy-pasted over and over with nothing interesting. Later on, Josh Sobel went on X and used his premium to write up slop about reflecting on his game. I'm not gonna even go over the whole cope posts, just bits and pieces of it. Quick side note, while editing, Josh Sobel deleted his post. I mean, look at this cope statement. All the pre-reveal feedback was quite positive, and yet just looking at the game from an outside point of view, I mean, it's just mediocre at best. Especially since it's a hero shooter-ish game in an oversaturated market. I mean, what were they expecting? As a matter of fact, what were they thinking? Well, not only what were they thinking, but to quote Josh himself, "I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of game culture and that the game would have thrived without the negative discourse, but it absolutely played a role. All products are at the whim of the consumers, and the consumers put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard, and it worked. Waiter, when he's done with the tank of copium, can you bring it over? Thanks." Now, let's be real here. The dude couldn't take a step back and actually hear the fact that nobody wanted a new hero shooter. He just refuses to learn from his mistakes and keeps blaming everyone but the nature of the game. They believe they weren't even given a chance, but... Remind me again how many people were at launch? 97k, methinks? Yeah, that gave you a fair shot. You had your shot, and you fumbled it. Great job, Chief. And to top it all off, a few posts managed to ratio this user posting, well, this. Yeah, I agree, he failed to learn anything. Another thing I want to point out before moving on is that PC Gamer couldn't sit idly and claims that FlopGuard didn't flop, with community notes adding context that it did indeed flop. Let's be real here. As much as X is a cesspool, they do have a sense of humor. And for this week's fucking bad idea, Discord announced Teen by default at the start of last week, and it fucking blew up. Basically, for those not in the know, it was Discord's attempt to quote-unquote protect children by making every account flagged as a teen by default next month and removing access to these 5 features. To gain access to them, you would need to either give biometric data, aka a face scan, or scan your ID. The biggest red flag for me is that while they're doing this whole thing, they did have a data breach not too long ago, where 70,000 ID photos were leaked, but yeah, apparently Discord doesn't think that's a big deal, and they're gonna just carry on regardless. They even had to clarify that the scans, again, never leave your device and IDs are deleted upon confirmation, but let's be honest here, this is just a poor attempt at collecting data on their users. The reason why I say this is because, again, community notes bring receipts. And they brought up the fact that they are swapping vendors to Persona who does in fact retain your data. Here it clearly states you consent to Persona, our vendor, collecting, using, and utilizing their service providers to process your biometric information. And on top of that, Persona raised $200 million in 2025 just from the data they collected. This debacle caused a spike in Discord alternative searches, and when I say a spike, I mean it. It jumped by 10,000%, and that's for the US alone. Now, the joke here will be is if TeamSpeak makes their platform even more Discord-like just to get back all the users they lost to Discord, that will be poetic justice. Sticking with insanity, you can now rent a PlayStation 5 for only $9.95 per month. Yay, the Brits colonized renting a console first! Oh, brother. Now, on the surface, this doesn't sound half bad, right? Just pay the £10 a month, play the exclusive games PlayStation may or may not get, but then when you actually find one, you have to choose a lease term, meaning you're stuck with this console for a while depending on how long you choose to lease it out for. The less time you lease it out, the more expensive it gets. The deal gets worse because it doesn't come with PlayStation Plus, meaning you have to add an additional subscription, draining even more money out of your bank account. Oh boy. The cherry on top is that you don't get games with it, nor get to own it. So if we do, £19.95 over 36 months for PlayStation 5 with 1TB storage, you pay £417.24, which is almost full price for the same console with the same storage, and you don't get to own it. If using a PlayStation 5 for 36 months sounds like a deal for you, well, here you go. Move to the UK, take this out, have fun. To me, this is just a push towards owning nothing and be happy with it. And believe me, I ain't happy with it. Moving on, the Ubisoft strike happened as planned and over 1,200 employees took part in it, with Mark Rocha confirming the amount of participants to game industry.biz. He did also note that most of the strike took place in France with some activity in Ubisoft Milan. They did also make a Blue Sky post. If you want to learn more about their strike, go ahead and check it out. Now, Ubisoft issued a statement, and spoiler warning, it's basically a bunch of nothingness, as I suspected. They started off spouting about the creative houses and how they work, then went on to saying, and I quote, "We understand these changes, particularly those affecting work organization, are generating strong feelings. Since the announcement, we have held a series of discussions and information sessions at multiple levels to help teams better understand the new organization and give them the opportunity to share their questions and concerns. Ubisoft's leadership remains committed to maintaining an open and constructive dialogue with employees and employee representatives in order to support this transformation and to build a stable and clear working framework for everyone." Now, this is the part where I take the piss out of all of this, but I'm gonna withhold my comments here. If you wanna hear someone else talk about it though, especially someone who talked to those employees, go check out Legendary Drop's videos. I can confirm the title is not clickbait. Moving on, Square Enix released a new game in early access. Yes, the people who created the Final Fantasy IP created a new one, and it's absolutely abysmal. All of the characters in Killer Inn look like a modern audience checklist without any form of creativity whatsoever. Hell, I'm willing to bet if somebody runs their images through an AI and says make them interesting, you're gonna get better results. They probably just Googled generic modern characters and copied it from there, methinks. Not only that, but the game, for as big of a company as Square is, couldn't get any players whatsoever. Look at it. This is pathetic. You can see even on IGN's video, it barely got any traction, and it has more dislikes than likes. Remember, this is Square Enix we're talking about. The same company that has the bright idea to have an ethics committee involved. Because apparently, that's something you should keep around. And to wrap this whole shit show up, their Final Fantasy VII Reaper has more players than their new release. Make of that what you will. And now, how to steal a game. Except not this one, because this one's another fumble DI slop. And it recently released. And this time fully released. Ironically enough, couldn't get more than 60 players. Hell, it's less than 60 players. How's that possible? But then again, we're talking about Relooted here. Remember this? This appeared on IGN's channel 8 months ago, and not only that, but IGN also released another 20-minute video with the devs. And you get 80 players, and you don't even go over 80 players. Holy shit, man. That's not all the coverage game received. They got so many shoutouts before the start of the new year. One of the biggest ones is from the Epic Trash Store, where their tweet got over 12 million views. Yeah, you guessed it. I'm rubbing salt in the wound, cause, how could you get so many eyes on the game and get so little sales? You have to be blind and deaf at the same time to ignore consumers. Oh wait, they might just be blind and deaf. Look at what they pulled. I'm not surprised, considering Sweet Baby Inc. also touched this game with some early designs. Now, going to the tweet, you can expect the usual. Only followers or mentions can reply because, well, the original poster kept being roasted like this. Now, with this, you'd think they would just accept it with grace, but nope. The CEO responded to the backlash, and it's not looking good. Look at this. One Blue Sky user, because of course it's Blue Sky, that gas station toilet of a website is always the center of this shit, wrote, and I quote, "This is the Steam forum for Relooted, and it's all grave dancing, right? Told culture war incels." Hey, at least they got one part right. We're dancing on the grave. Now, this is where the CEO responded saying, It's not against terms and service and added, which is particularly awful considering you can't turn off forums as a dev. My man here just self-reported because he only wanted to hear good things about the game. Oh boy. This random guy thinks that the solution is to create a private forum. Yeah, these guys are crazy. You think taking away people's opinions will make everything somehow magically better, right? No, instead of telling it to the developer's face, they'll just go to Reddit, 4chan, 8chan, a lot of places aside from your quote-unquote official forums to take the piss out of your game. Now, the last thing I'll mention about this is that the CEO deleted his post. Oh boy, man couldn't handle the internet and turned tail. Running away squealing all the way home. Like how his characters run away from the cops. Kotaku also wanted their hands in the cookie jar apparently. They posted an insane article with the title, I shit you not, Relooted is a big black middle finger to history controlled by white people. Yay! They brought out the racist card! Let's drink! The writer here just went into a fucking monologue about how playing the game left them with bittersweet resignation, tingle-full-burning rage? Look. English is not my first language, and I don't think bittersweet resignation, pissing, whilst being overwhelmed by rage is something you really need to write, man. Now, going for the meat and potatoes of the article, instead of pointing out Relooted's hypocrisy, they blamed game colonialism. Yippee! More thing to blame the British for. The reason why I call them hypocrites is because the tutorial artifact is the Silver Buffalo, which belonged to the Fallen people under the Danhome Kingdom. And I most likely butchered both of those pronunciations. But regardless, that is the very same kingdom which wealth was built on slave trading. Way to mention important details there, Chief. Good job. But the Kotaku journal here can pop off for his second or, third playthrough that he is excited about. Not only that, but take a look at this report. They played it on the Steam Deck and PC, and both platforms suffered from frame rate issues and bugs. If the game was actually properly made, it would probably run on a PlayStation 3 with 60 FPS solid, but I guess it's too much to ask from people who only know their own version of the quote-unquote correct history. Well, the gamer attacked Overwatch for no good reason. Yes, they asked Blizzard to, and I quote, "Stop babyfying your female characters." I have several questions. First, who the fuck does the gamer think they are? Second, if that looks like a baby face, then you need a new pair of glasses, mate. They naturally had to bring up the supposed golden age of Overwatch, where characters came from different countries and cultures, alongside with the reveal of Tracer being lesbian. Yeah, it's a gamer, everyone. They can't help but mention they're so pro-LGBT that they make the L with every article. And in their very next breath, they have a problem with the game's skins and the fact that none of the characters discuss their identity. Here is the thing. No sane person would sit down and say, I'm a lesbian, I'm gay, or whatever the rest of the letters mean at this point, because, people decided to start tacking things on at the end, but that's beside the point. Ultimately, it doesn't matter in the context of a game. And what the context of that game is, well, in Overwatch's case, it's fighting. Yes, I did have to specify sane people because Linux users and vegans exist. But anyways, and this is the part where I basically out a 4 from the article because yet again the gamer is virtue signaling. Why? Because apparently Overwatch desperately needs more diverse female characters. Yes, I literally stopped reading there cause they can't sit and write on one specific topic. Hell, I'm pretty sure I can give them a lesson in writing, considering how much they jump between takes and the low bar I need to clear with them. Ultimately, they need the game to bend to their rules and make it the way they want, without any exceptions or without consumers in mind. Because let's be real, nobody cares if the character you play is lesbian, gay, bi, trans, or whatever. They care, is the character balanced, is it fun to play, and can I do cool shit while playing it? Now, because of this whole shit show, the voice actors woke up on the wrong side of the bed and talked about how they should make Anran a quote-unquote better character, which got the fucking game director to respond to her. Mind you, another ex-user, Kyokataribe, posted this image over here where a person asked Farah, help us push the agenda. I also even found where exactly it is, and I can confirm that shit's real. I also looked even more into the replies of Farah, and I found this. Cat Daddy Gamer wrote, Blizzard, when they realized they just hired an online activist to voice their new character, and she's out there on a soapbox talking mad shit about their game instead of simply promoting her. To which she pulls the most Discord mod statement ever possible and wrote, it's gonna be okay, kitten, I promise. Jesus Christ, man. I'm so glad I'm not supporting Blizzard in any way, shape, or form at this point. That company has been dead, and right now we have Microsoft parading its corpse. And to wrap up this week, the people who made Cold Violet are so delusional, they believe a sequel is in order. And maybe a new prescription for their meds, but that's besides the point. Yes, they are actually making a sequel. Actually, come to think of it, I'm willing to back it up. They were one of the few people who managed to unite both critics and players. I don't want to see that shit happen again. Now, go on, release that buggy PS5 exclusive sequel. I'll be here to take the piss out of it. Hell, you know it's bad when Eurogamer is making fun of them. And I quote. But despite this less than enthusiastic response, Team Kill Media has revealed it's already started working on, quote, the next chapter of Violet's story, citing the, quote, overwhelming success of Cold Violet. Imagine your game is so ass, even game journalists are taking pot shots at ya. Oh, we desperately need the sequel out now. The team behind the game also stated, we're actively progressing on several exciting projects, with more announcements and reveals coming your way very soon. And then, they revealed that they're working on the sequel called Ultraviolet. Very... You know, I'm actually at a loss for words now. Very original? Is what I was trying to say, I think. I don't know. That announcement kinda drew a blank. Let's be real here. The only thing I really want to know is how much did it cost them to make the first game, if they're willing to make a sequel. You don't make a sequel of an IP unless it's financially feasible and it was profitable. And sadly, that's not something we'll know anytime soon. And with that will be all for this week. Again, if you like the content, drop a like and hit the subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time.